Yeah, it's so far away.
It is.
Basically in Delaware. Where's the bottle of wine?
Splitting Hair's Free Salon Education Podcast starts now. Featuring Matt Beck, Christina Cavalcanti, Brian Hare, Drea Bolin, Thaddeus Bolin, and Danielle Downs. Today's episode is powered by MinervaBeauty.com.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Splitting Hairs, the Hairdressers Podcast.
I like how this sounds.
You do?
Yeah.
It sounds very epic.
Yeah?
I mean, I hope it sounds the same to them. 'Cause in here, it sounds
Hopefully.
fantastic.
That's what happens when you move the table. It's
The
all of a
acoustics
sudden
are so much better over here. It's the mirror.
awesome. All right, so welcome to Splitting Hairs. I'm psyched because I think we made the Facebook deadline tonight, so we should be live on Facebook as well as YouTube. If you guys want to get involved in the chat, though, go to youtube.com or fseyoutube.com, and you can join us in the chat. That's really where we're watching people talk. Welcome to the show. Memorial Day weekend.
Thanks.
Did you do anything?
I accidentally took a 5-hour nap on Monday, so that was my Memorial Day.
So you did the opposite of 5-hour energy?
Yeah. I've had enough of those. My body was like, you know what? You're sitting down for a second. We're just going to monopolize on this.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Danielle, what'd you do?
A whole lot of nothing.
All right.
Yeah. I was beat after that whole travel debacle with the delays and all that stuff.
Yeah, we did have a long week,
It was
right?
a very long week.
Yeah. What about you, Dre?
Let's see. I did some brunching on Sunday.
Some brunching?
Brunching. Had some brunches. It
Okay.
was great.
Multiple?
I
Yeah.
love brunches.
Like you
No.
left one and went to another?
No,
Yeah.
just one, but like it seemed like multiple.
Got it.
Did that on Sunday. Then just relaxed Sunday night with a friend and her newborn baby. So that was great.
Okay.
And yeah, Squishy, my little Squishy. He's cute. He loves me again. So we're good.
Christina's hilarious around newborn babies.
Why?
She just wants to hold them all the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's great because he doesn't want
I
to be
don't-
put down.
which I'm fine with because then we don't have to have another one, you know?
She gets it out of her
like you
sister.
wouldn't cared.
Like newborns make me nervous. I like when they can start to hold their head. Like it's too much pressure. I feel like there's way too many ways for me to accidentally break someone's baby.
Oh my God.
Isn't that the moment where they stop liking you, though? Like,
That's when it gets real and we decide whether or not this is a cool person or
Right.
not.
yeah, true.
No, I thought
but-
of you, Brian, because he's discovered his feet and picking things up with his feet.
Oh my God.
Aw.
So he likes to pick up toys and bring them to his mouth. And I was like, for some
With
reason.
his feet?
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally
That is a Brian move.
It's how I eat.
Yeah.
Should see me eat a corn dog.
Wait,
That's how he
speaking
does
of,
hair now.
I saw this article about an IHOP restaurant. Did you see that?
No.
No, it was a baby who doesn't have arms. It only has feet or legs. Like, I didn't fully read this article, but only has legs. So they put the baby up on the table and he eats with his feet. But IHOP banned them.
Aw.
Why? That's wrong.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
Baby's got to
What?
eat.
it's unbelievable. This whole world, unbelievable.
What's unbelievable?
That's what broke you.
No,
Yeah,
that is.
that did me in right there. Yeah.
That's
All
like,
right.
Now he's lost faith in humanity.
Yeah.
got it.
All right. So we had a great Memorial Day. Thank you for asking.
Well,
Oh, right. Yeah. What'd you
I'm
do?
just kidding. We didn't do anything. We actually, what did we do? Yard work.
Yeah, we did a lot.
That's a
of yard work.
first. So we're doing some yard work.
I was thinking about that today. You guys have to cut your own grass.
No.
Oh.
No, the
Don't
house.
you get some
our
high school
house-
kid or something?
Yeah,
Came
yeah.
with the house?
Our house came with a high school kid who does it every week. So
Is actually
does he
his
live in your
brother who now is in college, and then he has two younger brothers, and they took over the little business. So it's
so
kind
they
of
don't
cool.
they don't
Yeah.
live in the house.
They go to the
Oh.
local high school,
No.
and their oldest brother who started it now is at I forget what college, but anyway, he's away. But he was home this weekend and did it. And Matt thinks the younger brother does it better than him.
I
but-
do actually. Yeah, I'm judging them.
Hey.
All right.
I'm
Yeah.
well, it's so
Yeah.
funny because I was actually thinking about that today and I was like, I wonder if Hayden's old enough to mow the lawn. Oh.
Not yet.
No. He probably is. I actually think they say between I think 11 and 13 is the perfect.
No, it's got to be probably 13 and 15.
No,
12 to
don't-
15.
Just don't get like a
He just
seriously
turned
cool
10.
riding lawnmower. Just get him like the old school push blade one.
No, 11 to 13 is when you're supposed to cut your feet off.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
My brother and I used to love going around in like Sears and wherever they
Yeah.
would sell lawnmowers and trying to find the most violent caution sticker. Because like the little sissy ones have like, oh, the tip of a finger. Be careful, don't touch the blade. But we used to look for the one that was like a leg coming off if you got too close to the blade. That was I forgot about that until right now.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
So,
not surprised.
Daniel, you're welcome.
All right.
Speaking of Daniel, your brother was living in Germany. He's in the U.S. Air Force, correct?
Yes.
And he's moving back today to
Today.
Colorado. Right?
It is his wife's 30th birthday. She is getting an extremely long birthday because of the time change.
Okay.
Oh,
them
yeah. Happy
flying
birthday,
back.
Vanessa.
So
I didn't
she
know it was her
got,
birthday.
I mean, she spent most of it in a plane with my
Yeah.
brother and 2 children. So I don't know how fun that was, but yeah, they're back in the States, and I think they landed in Texas, and they're on their way to Colorado now.
Nice. Well, that's exciting.
So now I won't need as much time off to go see them.
Can we just check out in the chat? I'm a little concerned by how great this sounds, that it doesn't sound great to everyone else. So if you guys could just let us know that it's sounding great before we move on with the rest of the show.
We're going to sit here in silence until you tell us.
Yeah, and speaking of
Stop.
speaking of sounding great, if you'd like to just hear our voices, we are on fsepn.com, which is our podcast network on Anchor. So download the Anchor app, and you can get involved with our podcast, which is this podcast, but also multiple other podcasts and different things. When I do classes, I'm now recording them and putting them out there as well. And the cool thing about Anchor, which I don't think a lot of people have Anchor yet. Anchor's an app where it's a podcast, but you can also record responses to people. So if you follow different people on the internet, you can physically record with your phone a response or a question to a podcast, and then they can answer you back. So it's a vocal way of staying communicating with an audience. So I'm really excited about it. And if you haven't downloaded the Anchor app, go to fsepn.com and join our thing, favorite the podcast there.
You know how I know Anchor is going to be legit?
Why?
Because I just recently got a new radio in my Jeep. It's the Apple CarPlay. And it's extremely selective about which apps it puts on there. Like, it's very few that Apple doesn't make that it puts up on the thing. I think WhatsApp is one of them, which is like global, so duh. But it puts Anchor on there.
Oh, really?
So that's a thing.
That's cool.
Apple's backing it.
Honestly, my friend Adam, who started a YouTube channel a couple years ago he's a teacher, a kindergarten teacher, and he wanted to start a YouTube channel. So he reached out, and he knew that we were doing this free salon education thing, and he was like, well, maybe I could do something for teachers. So he started a YouTube channel, and he's been doing it for the last 2 years. He's just now starting a podcast, and he actually just quit his teaching job, and he's going full-time traveling and doing seminars and different things.
That's cool.
Because of that, yeah. So, but
FTE,
I was saying to him, what's that?
free teacher education.
It's actually Teachers Learn Too is the,
yeah,
so-
number 2 or
I don't know.
TOO?
It is a number 2, I think. Yeah. So cool stuff. Great weekend. This podcast is powered by Minerva Beauty, so we haven't talked about them yet. We did have a crazy travel schedule last week. Pretty sure we all decided whether we really like each other or if this is all an act last week, because we had a lot of travel craziness, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't even with you guys half the trip, but the half that I was with you, it was pure chaos. And Thad even said, and we'll talk about Thad in a second, but Thad even said that it's my fault because every time he's traveled with me, he's had a flight delay or something. And I get flight delays a lot. Yeah. So that with that being said, I apologize for you guys having to deal with that. It is awful, but we did have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's very tired. And because of last weekend, Thad has decided that he is no longer going to be on the podcast. So for this moment, we're going to say for this moment.
That wasn't why.
I don't think it was because of last week.
No, it wasn't.
No,
It
no,
wasn't.
Oh, okay, well,
No.
that's what you just said. So
No, I did say that.
Okay.
No,
well,
I did
was
say
wrong.
that. And I do think that triggered a long week. And then
No.
last
Well, the
week,
fact that we came home and you open hand slapped him across the face,
yes,
might
yeah,
have something to do with it.
that didn't happen legally.
I mean, while we're just making
Well-
stuff up. I mean, come on.
Wait, while we're not putting this on the internet, I did not open hand slap him. So
It had nothing to do with Brian crawling into bed with him at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh no, he loved that.
no, he loves all that. So we love Thad, and we're gonna miss him on the podcast. I honestly think he's a big part of the podcast. So even with Christina, I told her last
He'll
week.
be back. He'll
after he
miss
talked
us.
to me. I
He
think
just
he'll
needed
miss
a
us
little
too.
break, a little
I mean,
time out.
if
but-
all of you guys want to go and spam his Instagram and tell him how much you miss him and want him to come back,
And-
he is prone to suggestion.
And
No,
Well,
he didn't
now
want to
you just
upset
spoiled
anybody,
it.
but he doesn't want to be here. Like, he doesn't want
Yeah.
to do it.
He's got
right
other
now,
things
so
going on.
it's-
And I honestly think that
Bully him.
Yeah. No, he
He-
he has other things going on, other interests in his life. This is not obviously you can't have your whole staff here all the time. It's not. He actually Thad for the last 5 years has shown up to pretty much everything ever asked. So it's been really fun having Thad here, and hopefully he'll come back sometime. But for now, I get it. You got to take a break. So the show must go on. All right. So Minerva Beauty, this show
it's
again
powered by
is powered by Minerva Beauty. We actually, so not only did we have that event, but obviously if you guys want some salon furniture at a great price, go check out minervabeauty.com. We also want to announce right away in the show, Christina did the show format.
Too late.
Right away in the show, FSE Blowout. So if you did the hashtag FSE Blowout, you get entered to win the Blowout contest. We didn't pick a winner.
That's why, yeah, I'm like, why are you even doing this?
I'm going to pick a winner right now,
Oh, live.
Okay.
and I'm going to
folks.
show it.
all right.
Live
legit.
AF.
So FSE, so all you have to do if you want to be a part of this contest is go to FSE Blowout on Instagram, do the hashtag, and then you can get put into the contest. So we're going to check out who entered this week.
It's just gonna be us.
I know. Blowout. And I'm going to pick somebody because this isn't necessarily that you did the most amazing blowout of the whole group. It's the fact that you did it. And I don't care if you're the best or not the best. The fact is you submitted, so I think it's awesome. So, and this is actually a pretty nice blowout. Here we go.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this, though.
Dre, get off Tinder.
It says it says Royal Maine. Oh, wait, here we go. All right, Chris, I'm going to put it up
What camera you
to the camera.
Stop projecting, Brian.
Grind, get time for Tinder. Focus. It's focusing on me.
We don't really have a good focus there,
Oh,
man.
there we go. There she blows.
Okay. So who is it?
I'm gonna text Matt right now.
I
What's the
can't
name?
find-
Okay, the name is Finay
Uh-huh.
Kig T Fell.
Why do we have to do
Tidgefell.
that?
Maybe.
No, this is
Brian
really
should
this
look
is
at
really
that.
bad. Dre, you got it. You tell me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes
know.
it's
What?
just letters that you're supposed to just say letters.
Yeah, no.
Guaranteed they don't
Yeah.
no one's following that page not because they're not great at hair, but because that name you don't know it.
That is pretty.
It's a nice
beautiful.
blowout.
Sorry,
right?
I'm just looking at the hair.
I know.
Oh, a Feeny.
All right, so Feeney. So it's FENEKIGTEJFEL.
Free marketing advice. Get a new handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
But beautiful blowout. Thank you so much for being a part of it. You win the blow dryer. So all you have to do is email contest@freesaloneducation.com. Send your address, your phone number, and your name. And Minerva will send you out one of their beautiful blow dryers. It's super powerful, and it will help you even take that blow dry even further. So
You gonna love it.
check it out. All right, so today on the show, we have not only a sponge highlight video from Danielle that we're going to go over. We're going to teach you guys how to do some sponge highlights. It's really cool. Also, the Love That segment, you guys all picked photos of people that have hashtagged Free Salon Education. Pulp Riot, we're going to talk about did they sell out or did they not? And we also have a special guest, Ryan Teal, on the show. Teal's 2 cents on industry situations. So Ryan Teal likes to make some posts on the internet, talk about to bring up really reactions from people, but he's just been a great voice in the industry. He's won NAHA, so pretty talented guy, and I'm excited to have him on the show later on. So that's today's show.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So right off the bat,
we're doing a technique. We're going to teach you guys some sponge highlighting. So Danielle today, actually last week, you put together a technique for coloring, highlighting really extra curly hair, right?
Yes.
And we had a great conversation because you were not only talking about curly hair, but you labeled it differently. You called it a 4C, right? So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, there's different hair types in that, like you have a 1, which would be considered straight hair, to a 4, which would be coarse hair.
Right.
Then you have your subsections, A, B, or C. So that's your curl pattern. So obviously 1 isn't going to have an A, B, or C because, well, it's straight.
Right.
But it goes anywhere from just a soft loopy curl to an absolutely really kinky or a zigzag kind of curl.
Right.
So
ooh,
I like
do
it.
me. What do I have?
Technically, you are a 3A.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would say you're a 3A.
Oh,
Because you're
yeah.
ready to
No, I looked at this. We went over
I
it.
did show it.
Yeah, I got the whole chart. So you were
All
busy.
right.
You were busy doing hair.
3A
Okay?
it is.
Oh.
What's Matt?
You're a 3A. I'm a 1A.
He's just a 1.
1.
I'm a
You
1.
don't even get a letter.
I don't even get I'm a hairspray. I'm a 1 hairspray. That's it.
This is reminding me of the texture class that I took.
It is the
way
texture
back.
class you took.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So-
oh, this sounds familiar. Oh, right.
So with that being said, Danielle colored a mannequin that's from Pivot Point that is a 4C, which is like super extra curly, coarse textured hair. And we're going to show you guys this video, and we're going to roll that. So, and we'll do a little voiceover with the video as well, just to
Like
kind of walk
as
you
it's
guys through
going?
it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
so there's no voiceover. So we'll all talk through it. If you guys have questions, anybody has questions, definitely post them
Set a
in the
20
chat
Hit us
below. All right, let's fire up the video. So the first thing you want to talk about is what you used lightener-wise.
I thought you were about to pour that developer into the bucket of bleach. I was like, whoa, she's going hard.
I want it all.
All right, what are you using?
So using Joico Vera Blue and 30 volume, being lightener, obviously. And it's a 1 to 1.5 ratio.
Oh, I didn't do that right.
So what'd you do?
1 to 1. Oh, no, I just did.
No, you can,
I
yeah.
did consistency. Never mind.
All right.
All right, so I did a little zigzag section. The sponge that I used, technically you would want to use a C sponge because it's a little bit more porous. It has little divots in it that can hold a little bit more, like pockets that can hold a little bit more lightener. And it doesn't reach through to the absolute bottom of the hair, so it doesn't give you splotchy pieces. So a lot of the time with curly hair, if somebody's trying to straighten it first, I like to do it when it's in its natural state. So that's literally right out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the zigzag sections, it just helped to break it up a little bit more. So any sections that I did heavily saturate, there was a little cushion underneath, so to speak.
How thick of sections are you taking?
They were probably about like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. Because with curly hair, I don't really go for straight edge lines because the shape of it isn't straight. And then I just use the edge of the sponge just to feather it up a little bit closer to the scalp, but not right up to it.
And why'd you use 30 volume?
I did 30 volume just because it's a level, probably about like level 4. So I wanted to use 30 volume so I can break through to about a yellow. Oh.
Good.
Okay.
A missing file.
So no more video. All right, that's it.
And that's it.
I don't know,
Wait,
it's
my
weird.
question, what I was noticing about that video, what I like that you did was leaving hair out in between.
Yeah.
Making it an actual highlight and not an ombre. So was there a thought process behind like how much to leave?
Well, I would just leave half. So I basically took what was a little crescent shape in between. So I curved it.
Yeah.
That way I'm using the fatter part of it. using the fatter part that I'm highlighting, and then the thinner piece was left out. So that way you have a
Okay.
little bit more contrast.
It looks so good. And
So
this will work like blown out for
Yes.
someone. Okay. Now, would you do this on someone that was less than 4C? What if they're 3A?
Yes, but that's... I kind of did that same kind of technique on you.
Well, there was no sponge involved.
No, this is true.
So,
But that's where, with yours, I did that same type of sectioning, but I did it a lot wider. So instead of taking those 1.5, maybe 2-inch sections, yours I just did in large, about 2.5, 3-inch sections.
this looks so good. Now,
Thanks.
what if somebody wants to immediately try this, but they don't have a sponge? Is there something that sponge is going to give you that a brush can't? Like if they just don't have one and they go to try that off of a brush, what is there going to be a big difference?
There will, because with the sponge, you're laying it on a little thicker towards the mid shaft and the ends, but pressure-wise, you're not loading up as much product onto the sponge as you would onto a brush, because the brush, it beads up right at the edge. So that's where a lot of the times you get those little bleed marks, because that's where you're starting closer to that
Girl.
root.
That was definitely the thing I noticed, like when you were applying it, that the sponge wasn't like a brush is very harsh with the lines that it creates because it's a flat surface.
Mhm.
And with the sponge, it was definitely more organic looking when you were applying it. And it did hold a lot of product.
Yes.
So that was cool too. And especially with curly hair, because I think a lot of people tend to, when they're painting curly hair, be too light and you don't see the result at the end. And this is definitely very bold.
It's
Yes.
so good because
Brian's showing the wrong side.
oh well, sorry, I
No,
was
I know.
He's
I was
very
inspecting
fixated.
because
Yeah.
like there's not a single like bleed mark or
Yeah, no,
bruise or
right.
anything. Like it
It looks so pretty.
dang.
Somebody was wondering when the video cut out. I'm not sure if you saw when it cut out, Danielle, but they were asking what technique or what sectioning did you use? I'm sorry.
I did a diagonal back.
Okay.
I just don't want to, because I don't know if that messes the focus up, but we did film this. That whole video will be out on YouTube by itself. Danielle will do a voiceover, and we'll have a whole step-by-step of it. But I think you guys get the general idea. It was a definite, jagged section or a zigzag parting. And what I loved is you took the zigzag parting, you basically took one big section, cut it in half, zigzag, put the foil underneath, painted, but you didn't paint right away. You didn't put the foil underneath right away. So
No.
you held the hair first, started your painting, then put the foil under, then went over top of it.
Well, it's pretty much the same as your basic balayage.
Yeah.
But I started in the mid shaft of the hair because that's where I wanted the main part of the lightning to happen. And then I feathered closer to the scalp. Once I got it to where I wanted it to be, that's where I laid the foil, so that way I can really saturate the mids and the ends.
And
Because then it'll
sorry.
be a little bit more forgiving when you blow dry.
when you get to those ends, were you making sure that it was saturated through to the other side of the ends or just leaving it still dark?
Nope, that's where I did press a little bit more into the mid shaft in the end, so that way it did saturate through to the bottom.
Got it.
But like I said, with the top, just lightly feathering that and then just using a corner. Because with the sponge itself, whether you go to like a craft store or if you get just a regular bath sponge and cut that up, you can cut it into whatever shape will work for you.
Right.
So that's what I did.
Sweet.
It looks so good. Good
Yeah,
job.
it looks really good.
Everyone's saying it's beautiful. I can't wait to try it.
Killed
Very
it.
Thanks. Oh, and then it was toned with the demi. So
Okay.
it does come out pretty golden, which if that's the result that you want, a
It's
little
in
bit more
this year.
scary spice.
That's what's in.
Exactly. But I wanted to tone it down just a little bit. So I did PN, a little bit of A, and just a little dot of 1N for
And-
depth. So
Oh.
thanks to James for that.
Oh. And now it looks like Rochelle from The Craft.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
It looks really good, Danielle.
Thank you.
So
You know
you
what I'm
guys
talking about.
look for that video coming out on YouTube very soon, probably in the next day or so. Let's see. Next is the Love That segment. Everybody that hashtags Free Salon Education in their photos on Instagram. We go through it every week and we pick our favorites. So Brian picked his favorite. Speaking of James, so the very first one is totally beautiful color by James Marster, right?
Marsters, yeah.
Marsters, yeah.
I picked it because I really love it. I love him to death, but what I enjoyed about this one is that rather than just being some pretty color, I thought that it had a really cool relationship with the cut. Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed how the angle of the color at the ends goes opposite the angle of the haircut,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
leaving you like he's got it a little darker at the root, and then it's almost like a big shining gleam that sort of goes
Yeah.
around the round of the haircut, which I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a really good relationship between the cut and the color while still being true to his brand of the really good, vibrant colors.
I think what I love most about it is that that he did the darker roots and then it goes to that lighter tone and then it goes back to dark again, because usually everybody goes gradient, like dark to light or
Yeah.
light to dark or whatever they do, but I like that he kind of mixed it up a little bit, and it is almost like it's a halo of light kind of casting around the shape. Does he cut these as well?
Mm-hmm.
He does, right?
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
an actual hairdresser.
He's a super talented guy. So
Let's bring him over.
James, we should have James.
Cross the pond.
Is this a weird time for him?
It's 5 hours from now, so it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
almost
so he
2.
should do that. Yeah,
Dude, wake up.
we should totally.
Get some coffee. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we should get him on webcam soon. But thank you, James, for actually doing the hashtagging. And we've known James for a very long time and big supporters of James. He's a great guy. So and he also showed Brian around London.
True.
As well.
He made sure I got a sausage roll from Greg's, which changed my life.
All right, next one is who picked this one?
Oh, I did.
What'd you think? What'd you like about it?
I just loved the different tones of blondes that are in there. So you have towards the ends, the lighter, the more buttery blonde, and then it goes up and it's a little bit more coppery. It's has a lot more warmth to it, but I just love the dimension of both of them in there.
Sweet. And those of you guys that are listening to us and not watching us, who is the person that you picked? What's their Instagram?
Celeste Penninger Hair.
Are we
luck.
married?
So Celeste Penninger Hair.
At the Glassdoor Salon and Spa.
Yeah, check them out on Instagram. You can see the photo, but yeah, definitely beautiful work. Thank you for hashtagging Free Salon Education.
Love that.
All right, and Danielle, her pick.
I just really liked everything about it. The style, the little knot, and just the color story of it. It was beautiful to me.
I love when people do a little separation of like the tones and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that little knot shows off so much stuff.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah,
So good job.
So look
Hair
for
by
that in my
Thelma.
Instagram tomorrow.
that's cool. All right, cool. So so that's the Love That segment. If you guys want to be a part of it, definitely hashtag Free Salon Education on Instagram, and we can see your photos every week. We love sharing your work. That's what this community is all about. To get into bigger news, Pulp Riot.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
So this is an industry thing. Everybody's seen this on Facebook, I'm
Yeah.
assuming at this point. So Pulp Riot sold to L'Oreal. So they're no longer privately owned. They're now owned by L'Oreal. So there's been a lot of different things that have been out there. People posting positive, some people posting negative. So what I did was I reached out to the owner of Pulp Riot, or the former owner of Pulp Riot, David, and Alexis are the owners of the company. They started the company. Butterfly Loft was their initial launch on Instagram, and they got a big popularity and then launched their own color system or color line or whatever, right?
Were you able to get a hold of them on their brand new private jet?
No, but I got a hold of them while they're in Paris.
Oh.
There it is.
And they were going to be on the show, but Paris is a 5-hour difference. So he says, hey, Matt, the show will be while we are sleeping, but people have no reason to fear. I am completely in charge of the company. If I wanted tomorrow, I could decide to distribute at Cosmoprof, even though SalonCentric is owned by L'Oreal.
No way.
This transaction just gave us so many resources to accomplish our goals from the brand. Nothing is different this week from last week. All the same employees, same offices, same products, same goals.
Well, the
So-
bank account's a little different from last week.
Definitely the bank account is different. So a lot of people are discussing this. It's all over the place.
People got stuff to say.
People always have stuff to say, and that's why I really wanted to bring this up, because I haven't talked to you guys really about this to get opinions on it. I have my own opinions, and Ryan Teal has his opinions as well. We're going to bring him on, but it's not really, I don't want this to be, and even when I talk to David, like, I get it, because we're all trying to build a brand. Like, that's the ultimate, he sold his company.
Congratulations that someone wanted to buy it.
Is it technically called selling out? I mean, you could call it that. That's what selling out, I guess, is. But the whole purpose of building a company is to one day have it be a successful company, right?
Well, we were talking about it earlier, and I was saying, like, I don't trust an adult that doesn't believe in selling out, because like, once you become an adult, you understand that you have to pay for things and you have to make money to do that.
Yeah.
And like, when someone's like, oh, I like that band until they sold out, that's why they started doing this. If they didn't care about making money and hoping to get as much money as possible, they'd still be playing at their local crappy bar in their hometown. Like, you get into business to make money.
Well, and you build up something, right? And you're building it to eventually get to a point where
a bigger company wants it.
A bigger company does want it, because eventually fantasy colors are not going to be the thing. Like, actually, I would bet that in the next 2 years, fantasy colors aren't really a thing anymore as much. And that's just, I don't know, but and maybe the world is going more fantasy colors.
You bet it.
But I think that,
or it just circles around like any trend.
Yeah, it'll go out, and then their what their brand is worth won't be as much, because of the fact. Plus, they build a whole brand around social media stars. I mean, each of these things has somebody's Instagram on it.
Right.
Because it's, I don't know if it's quote unquote, but their formula, like their color.
Yeah.
They picked it.
They picked it, which is it's such
great
a
branding
smart
idea.
Yeah, it was a great.
I'd said earlier, like, no hairdresser gets to call anybody else a sellout, because I know that every hairdresser has that client that when they walk in, you want to tell them, I hate you, you have to leave. But you don't do it. You sell out because you need your paycheck to have some money in it. Right? And you sit there and you suck it up and say, yes, I'm happy to conduct this business.
Honestly, Brian, that might be the best point I've heard in a long time.
All right, I'm leaving.
Okay, so
you heard it here, kids.
It's great. So that's the whole point. And then, but in bigger news, and we can roll a little bit of the clip.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, the news doesn't stop.
Okay, what's next?
A distributor.
Well, here,
well, we can roll it, but a distributorship decided that they're a small distributorship, saying as of today they're not carrying it anymore because of that.
What, Pulp
Good
Riot?
afternoon, everyone. This is George with Salon Services, co-owner, along with Sydney Berry. And today we have an important announcement to make to the entire beauty industry. We received a letter from David and Alexis, the owners of Pulp Riot, on May 25th, which was Friday morning. As CEO, I'm responsible to do what's best for Pulp Riot brand and the people connected to it. And I have a duty to those who've invested in Pulp Riot to maximize their return and minimize their risk. Our executive team understands that scaling from where we are to where we want to be will require a more robust infrastructure and expanding working capital. As such, after careful consideration, we've decided to sell Pulp Riot to L'Oreal, the grandest beauty company in the world. We strongly believe this move gives Pulp Riot the necessary firepower to achieve all the goals we have for our brand. It allows our investors to take some risks off the table while still giving us the opportunity to play a big hand in realizing our expectations for Pulp Riot. David and Alexis, Sydney and I, and the entire organization here at Salon Services would like to congratulate you on your sale to L'Oreal. And as we began our relationship and conversations at the beginning of the year, culturally we were a dynamic fit. Since your decision to protect your company and your investors and what you want to accomplish is now to the sale of L'Oreal, It took Sydney and I over 35 years in the building to protect the beauty industry. And with your decision, our decisions come with very saddening message to our clients. As of today, effective immediately, Salon Services will no longer represent Pulp Riot. We wish you all the best and continued success. Thank you for our clients out there that truly understand our core values. Have a great day.
So, interesting, right? So here's what I want to say, in my opinion, first, just to kind of set everything up. I agree with David and Alexa, I don't know.
You just turned on everybody's at-home thing.
Yeah, I know. I believe in what they did. Like, I don't think it's like selling out. Selling out is selling out, but I think that they did a smart move with their company, selling it at the right time, hopefully for the right amount of money. But then seeing this Salon Services company distributorship, I see now. I have two things, because I see that they're jumping on this and saying it's not with our core values. I appreciate that, because they're definitely stepping up for the hairdressers, saying.
But that was my question.
Yeah.
Why? Like, he wanted to make this big dramatic announcement, but what is not lining up? That because they have chosen, like, I don't understand. Like, are they only selling like Bob's hairspray that gets made in garages?
So no, but what they're saying is that there's. And this is where Ryan's going to go, I think, with everything as well. But it's more salon exclusive brands are sold in small distributorships. But the thing is that all these salon exclusive brands or small brands are sold in these small distributors because the bigger distributors
don't want them.
Buy everything and they bring it into their distributor and they own it. Not only do they distribute it, but they own it because it makes sense from a big financial standpoint. But what everybody's saying and where everybody's upset is they're saying big brands and big distributors are not supporting hairdressers. And that's where, and so Ryan has this point as well, and I don't want to speak for him, but I'm sure he'll talk about it way more in depth than this. But he's basically saying that certain companies say that they're salon exclusive companies and they're these fancy companies, but they'll sell to every single salon within 5 blocks.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not really.
I know the complaint was always like that L'Oreal, while they make in-salon stuff, they're also like going behind our back and selling at the grocery store hair color, which is not helping us.
Right.
So I know that was an argument that I've heard for years with people's beef with L'Oreal just in general. So
now,
I guess.
So now they're saying, right.
For me, years ago when they acquired Mizani, at first I thought same thing, like, oh, they're selling out. This isn't going to be great, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, because they bought, Soft Sheen Carson, which was an umbrella for a lot of different lines, including Mizani, they actually expanded all of them. So what they were saying, the owners of Pulp Riot, about how they can expand their line, they can get a little bit more revenue. So it kind of sounds like they're still going to be at the helm.
Right.
They're still controlling everything. Now they're just getting a bigger backer.
They got that Disney money now.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Well, Urban Decay Cosmetics, when they were bought by L'Oreal, they grossly expanded their products and whatnot, and they grew so quickly after that. And
yeah, because otherwise
they
these
have
were lines,
the resources.
These were lines that might have died otherwise, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, stagnated.
Or
maybe
somebody else
died.
would have bought them.
Yeah, or someone else would have. But
yeah, that's.
Well, they wouldn't have had the money to grow their line.
Let it go.
Unless I want to talk about it all night. I'm like,
no, it's just they were able to like triple their inventory as far as like products like different shadow palettes, different setting sprays, all these different things that expanded their line because they sold to L'Oreal. Now, what's Pulp Riot going to do next? What's their next thing?
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully not show up in CVS.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hope they get a bigger line. I like that they've expanded to like involve toners and developers, and like they're a pretty complete package when you see their little setup at the store.
Yeah.
I hope that they're just able to expand on that, but still stay exclusive to us.
Yeah. And hopefully that's what will happen. And then I think people need to make their decision at that point. But, and we have nothing to do with Pulp Riot. I mean,
No, I wouldn't mind something to do with Pulp Riot. I like their color.
Brian really
And
likes
you were
Pulp
a
Riot?
model.
Yeah, we really do like their color, but that's the thing. Like, so I think people rush to judgment. They want to say people sell out. It's very like, it's split.
What is selling out if your ultimate goal is getting popular and making money? Like,
Right.
what the heck is selling out? Like,
Right.
it's stupid.
Yeah.
The term just makes me
It makes no
automatically
sense.
judge someone. I'm like, we're done. You make poor decisions.
So with that being said, let's
And
bring,
now, if you don't practice what you preach, then you're just a hypocrite. Like, we can get into something else.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a
Like I
whole
said,
different story.
Every hairdresser, we're all sellouts.
which is why I like Salon Services, because of the fact that he came on there. He didn't say that they sold out. He congratulated them. He
Yeah,
just said
no.
it doesn't fit their
Right.
culture. It's not what they're about.
Right.
So I like that he took a stand and he did that for his community, his hairdressers. I think it's cool. And it's gonna hurt him.
No, I think
Probably.
it's good for him
No,
because
no,
there
it's
are
good for him.
always new companies coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm saying initially, people are gonna be like, "Why are you letting go of Pulp Riot?" But I think in the long run, you're right, Chris. Like,
It's a constant
better.
door opening.
Yeah.
It's constant.
for sure. So, with all that being said, let's bring on. Is Ryan on the line?
We have him, yes. He's not showing up on this camera.
He's not.
No, I'm
So
not
if
sure,
you
but I
click-
have him.
I can
So
see
go-
him. I can
go
see that
to-
glorious beard.
I know. Look at that.
ZZ Top. I love it.
Pull up the graphics. Go to the graphics 2 window.
Yeah.
Double click that, and then click in that little circle where he's not showing up,
Mhm.
and then click. There should be like a wheel looking thing.
It's a square.
The setting.
Yeah, the
The
settings.
rectangle.
Yep.
We got it.
Oh, here we
And
go.
then go up to where it says camera and go to remote 1. It's got to be on remote 1.
This is also tutelage for anyone else that would like to do this.
Yeah.
How to run
On
a
their own.
podcast.
There it is. Oh,
Oh.
nope.
Well,
No, that's
Brian.
that's camera 1, remote
Oh.
1.
That's you.
Oh,
How
there he
blind.
is.
There you
Just-
go. All right.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
can we get
So
picture in picture of Matt
So
all the
let
time?
me let me make sure his mic's on and you can introduce him. How about
Okay.
that?
Sweet. So Ryan Teal is actually a good friend. He's been here. He's one of the very few people that have actually been here hanging out in the studio. And what I love about Ryan is that he's not afraid to speak his opinion on the internet, but also he does kind of have like he's not a dumb guy. Like, he's smart. Like, the things he talks about.
It's not just shooting from the hip.
Exactly. Yes. So he's a NAHA winner. He's done all kinds of crazy things as a hairdresser. He's been in the industry for a long time. He's got a great voice. So welcome to the show, Ryan Teal.
Oof, that intro.
I know.
Damn.
You see what happens when you have like music, like to build into it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, what's up?
How much is up with you guys?
Oh, just
I'm
Hey,
hanging
Ryan,
out,
looking good.
doing
looking
some
good.
stuff.
I'm glad you wore the hat to match the cover photo. That makes me happy.
The whole like thing about like picking up babies and like protecting their heads and all that kind of stuff. I agree with you. I don't
Right?
pick up babies. I hate babies.
Terrifying.
You love
Yeah,
babies?
it's so ridiculous. Oh, baby, I hate them. I hate them.
Oh, okay.
Picking up newborns is for the moms. Like I
No,
can't do it.
yeah.
They're just tiny humans.
Actually-
It's fine.
Yeah.
They're just not even humans. It's more like STDs.
Yes.
Oh. All right.
Yes, little parasites.
Let's go. We're there.
They can run
Okay.
off.
That was well thought out. That was
Ryan.
not shot from the hip.
Ryan, let's so first off, why don't you just introduce yourself, tell people what you've been all about for the last how long you've been doing hair?
A very long time. I
Very
think
long
I've been
time.
doing hair.
Yeah.
Well, probably 20 plus years.
Okay.
Used to work for Paul Mitchell. Left Paul Mitchell. Still love those guys. I think they're amazing. I left Paul Mitchell. Went to work for Alterna. Alterna was sold 3 times when I was with them. Then I was lucky and I won North American Hairdresser of the Year awards, and then I won International Hairdresser of the Year, and I got a job at L'Oreal, which is pretty ironic that we're talking about that today. I went to work for L'Oreal for about 3 years, right after they acquired Mizutani. Or not Mizutani.
Mazzani.
Not Mizani, yeah, thank you. And then I went to work for a company called Lanza. Went to work for a company called J. Beverly Hills, and went to work for a company called Hanzo, and I've been fired from most of them.
Attaboy.
Why is that?
That's why you're on this show.
It's mainly because of this, not this. You know?
We're all going to get fired after having you on here as well. So it's fine. So, all right. So you have been posting, and honestly, you can go wherever you want with this, but you've had a few posts over the last. I actually found out about the Pulp Riot thing from a post that you made. I had to research what the hell you were talking about, but it said, you said, I love how hairdressers get so upset when L'Oreal makes another purchase. This is capitalism. There is nothing wrong with it. If a company's integrity doesn't match your benefits, just don't do business with them. There's a product out there for every hairdresser and salon. If you don't want a company that is going to lie and cheat and sell behind your back, look off the beaten path, but you can't get upset when a company sells out.
Do you want?
When a company sells out. I can't read.
Do you want to just hand it
I'm
to me?
only good for like 2 sentences. And then after that,
Let's do like an English class. Everyone read a sentence.
no, this is what happened in 3rd grade. They would start reading and I would follow along. And then after 2 sentences, I would get totally lost. And then they'd call your name for you to like continue reading. And I never knew.
All right.
No, we're good.
So-
That's it. So companies that sell out. So tell me, why make the post? What was your purpose behind that? And what did you find from that post that happened?
I can't remember what I found from the post because I've been posting a lot lately. I try not to post a whole lot except for music lyrics and just try to keep everything very superficial. But I did hear about the sale of Pulp Riot. I like Pulp Riot a lot. I think it's a great company. I think I love what they did. I think their packaging is very sexy. I love all the people that work with them and all that. My thought was that companies are going to sell out. I mean, Sassoon sold out back in the 70s.
They sold out quick.
And he became vilified because of it.
Yeah.
And when he passed away, everybody was like, oh, it's Sassoon. And they forgot about the fact that he sold everybody out. People are going to sell out and master tape so he could, keep control of all of his music.
Right.
So that's my whole thought is that there's nothing wrong with what they did. I personally don't agree with L'Oreal. I worked with them for a while, and you guys were talking about how companies got bigger, like Mizani got bigger, and Urban Decay got bigger. Well, they got bigger because they were being sold to a mass market. They were being sold essentially leaping over the people that they're saying they're protecting, which is hairdressers.
Right.
My thought is that when they get to that point, that's great. I'll shake your hand, just like what salon services did. That's awesome. Good for you, and goodbye.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Just because you move out of your parents' house doesn't mean you have to hate your parents anymore.
Yeah. Good one. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, whoops! I got that wrong. Just kidding, Mom.
Just kidding, Mom.
So then you. I don't know why it's repeating. Let's see.
Ryan, are we on your TV?
Yeah. No. You're on my you're on my laptop.
All right. I'm trying to think. So today, why don't you talk about the post you made today?
About distribution?
Yes.
I'm very lucky because I've got to work with many distributors as long as I've been working. So about 6 months before graduating from beauty school, I was lucky enough because Deanna got hired with Paul Mitchell to help launch Paul Mitchell The Color. And so I got to be an educator about 6 months before graduating from beauty school. I was working for Paul Mitchell in the 90s. And if you remember, Paul Mitchell in the 90s was, heavy hitters. They were in every woman's shower across the country. And so I got to work with many great distributors, since then. New Hope up in the East Coast and a lot of distributors that are gone, Jacob Miller and Paul Mitchell. Jacob Miller up in Portland, Oregon. And, I've always kind of been kind of a boutique fan. I don't like big stores. I don't like, I don't go to the mall. I haven't been to the mall in years. You don't buy this hat at the middle of the mall,
Well, it depends on where you're
that was
at.
a riffraff, reference in case you guys, don't know riffraff. But I've never been a mall guy. I've never been a big box guy. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the distributors and distribution. Those guys are kind of the unsung heroes of the industry because a lot of times they get a really bad rap. But if it wasn't for distribution, education would be super expensive, like ungodly expensive, because somebody's got to pay for it, and manufacturers aren't going to pay for it. So it's distribution. So I kind of try to keep it as, I didn't want it to be an exclusive post where I just mention just the people that I've worked with in the past. I've kind of tried to just, open the door to, I wanted a discussion really about, the cool distributors across the country. And I'm very lucky because I no longer work for a hair care company. I now work for a distributor that I asked them if I could go to all the trainings because I wanted to be super educator and be like, I want to know everything about Alter Ego and everything about Davinas and Lakme and all that. And my boss was like, no, he's like, I don't want you to go to any of that because I want you to teach from the heart. He's like, I don't want you to talk marketing. He's like, I want you to talk a hairdresser to hairdresser. And it's pretty, excuse my language, it's pretty fucking cool, really. If you think about it, a lot of these smaller distributors can do stuff like that where the bigger distributors can't, and they won't. I was told today, one guy was talking about how Cosmoprof does this great thing about this great team that they go out and support, the hair shows and it's Phil and Jake and that girl on Instagram. Who's that? She's got like a really big follow. It starts with an L. I can't remember. Yeah. She wears like an urban sombrero. But yes. yeah.
Her hat's a little wider than yours.
She got it at the mall.
She got it at the middle of the mall. They're talking about how great, they support like small hair salons. And in reality, you got to put your money where your mouth is. And if you're going to go with the big boy, the big box stores, you're probably not going to get as much support as you would going from a smaller, boutique brand. And it's funny because I had a whole discussion like in the middle of the day today where, the ratio of return to investment is very skewed, meaning, when you get these big companies, and I'm not going to, no, I don't care. I'll mention some names like Cosmoprof, Salon Centric. They're when they their return on their profits at the end of the year are so high, and what they return is very low. Oh yeah, we support the educator by having this hair show, where you have these, Bassett in Northern California that has very low returns, but invests a huge amount in education and giving back to their customers. So there's something about that, and that's kind of what I was, and that's also what, Sydney and George do. And that's what, the company I work for, Modern, does. I just prefer if I have a problem and I want to talk to somebody, I want to be able to call them and be like, this is my problem, fix it. And they will,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I guess I'm rambling.
No, you're not rambling. I think a lot of companies, I don't know why it's doing that. Chris, can you just mute?
Matt.
Me, yeah. Ryan's thing. I think you're gonna have to mute.
Okay.
And then bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that I can hear it still. I don't know. No, I can hear myself talking. Can you? Oh, that's cute. So, but I think a lot of people need to pay attention to the fact that not only the distributor that they work with, but the manufacturer that they work with, find out who does provide education. And like you said, with Cosmoprof and Salon Centric and those bigger distributors, they're like a lot of the boutique brands, like you're saying, I've worked with a lot of them. They can't even afford to go into those distributors because of the margins that they want to work with. So, like you said, they're getting these huge margins, and then, but how much are they providing? Like I actually I've been to almost every single Cosmoprof show over the last year or so, and I'm teaching a social media class at them, and I have to say that I do think that the education at those shows is better than most of the big hair shows. I think that when you look at like the IBS or I haven't been to ISSE in a while, or ABS or Premier Orlando, I honestly think that the Cosmoprof actual education, the classrooms are really good. But with that being said, I haven't been, like, the last time I was at IBS was maybe a year ago, and but I just didn't have as great of an experience there. And I know you're doing the other shows, so what's your thought on that?
I think that's a good point. I mean, I used to do all the Cosmoprof shows, and I mean, I love the Cosmoprof shows, and
Yeah.
I think that Cosmoprof does a great business for who they're catering to. I don't have a problem with Cosmoprof whatsoever. It's just not my bag. It's just not who I choose to do business with. And, you know, their hair shows are decent. I think it's probably, you know, the best. I mean, I know that Jen Plank, one of my really good friends, is on all the shows, and she's amazing. And you really can't get to see her unless you almost go to a Cosmoprof show.
Okay.
And I'm doing, I did ISSE this year. Actually, I didn't work ISSE this year, but I was there. I did do IBS New York. I'm doing Premiere. I'm doing IBS Las Vegas. And you're right. I mean, there's a lot of independent education at those big shows. So
Right. Yeah.
the IBSs, the ABSs, the Premieres, and ISSE, there's a lot more independent education because Cosmoprof has the manufacturer support behind them.
Right.
So they're going to
Yeah.
send those guys and pay them because it's essentially, you know, Lonza is going to be there. So they're going to send all their Lonza team and they're going to pay for it as opposed to Cosmoprof have to pay for it. Who else is there? Matrix or so on and so forth. And again, there's not a problem with that. What I like
Right.
about IBS, like the other shows, is they will allow more independent education. They allow me to go in. They allow
Yeah.
DJ Muldoon or Aaron Johnson or I think I saw Jen Plank at 2 of the shows, and you know it is a little bit more of an independent thing. And you know sometimes and you know independent's also kind of a bad word too, if you ask me, because a lot of times people will claim independent education just because they can't get a job with a major manufacturer.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so
True.
you know, like you're saying that sometimes you know. The education's not as good at that. It's because the independent educator kind of sucks, you
Right.
know?
But that's the thing too. I think that with Cosmoprof now, and I'm obviously not arguing for Cosmoprof, but I do think that they're bringing on, like they're now figuring out. I think Cosmoprof, above and beyond Salon Centric at this point, or L'Oreal, has figured out that they need to grab these popular people, which is how I ended up on the bill, I think, just from a popular, like, Instagram. No, not like
I'm just
popular, like
kidding.
cool popular, like popular, like you have a following on the internet, right?
I think they're finding out now the importance of it, and it will hurt them if they don't bring it on. But I do believe that Ryan makes a good point. Like they bring them on as the brand that's already under them.
Yeah.
They're not promoting free salon education at these Cosmoprof
No,
classes.
Cosmoprof won't promote it.
Yeah.
No.
So it's exactly that. I think everyone's catching on that boutique is now popular. It's been popular for years out in stores, and the malls are obviously the shopping, blah, blah, blah. And now the hair industry, it's doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And these companies are now jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I totally...
Well, just because you have a following on Instagram doesn't make you a good educator.
Well, exactly.
Well, no.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people...
But they see return on our following. I think that makes
But
a
I
different
do-
story in our, you know.
Well,
I do
and
have to...
You
Yeah.
guys have great followings. You guys are also like Matt, you're an amazing educator. I mean, you know, that's something different because you're vetted. I mean, there's a lot of these people that are like teaching classes that aren't vetted. You know,
Well,
that they
that's
can't teach. They couldn't teach
Yeah.
themselves out of a wet paper bag.
Yeah, and I think that that's the challenge right now, is that I think the independent shows, people have a big following and they promote it to these, you know, these hair shows, and the hair shows are like, oh yeah, well they have a following, I'm going to bring them in. I actually don't think that some of the other companies, I think they do a little more research with who comes in to teach the shows. I think that IBS, like I taught a class at IBS. It didn't take anything to get on the bill there. Like all you have to do is just submit a little bit of bio about what you want to do. I mean, I know you've probably had the same thing. Like it's really not that hard if you want to get on the bill, especially if you have a following anywhere, but they're not looking to see if you're actually a good educator or not. What are you drinking there?
Me?
Bourbon? Is it bourbon?
Manhattan.
Get it?
So yeah,
I moved here just because of the bourbon.
yeah, you're in Kentucky now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Wait, where did you go? You went from where to Kentucky? You were in Oregon?
Portland to Los Angeles.
Portland to LA.
Yeah.
LA to Kentucky.
LA to Kentucky.
All right.
And that's where you can get a hat like that in the mall.
No, actually, I had this one made for me.
Who made the hat? It's a cool hat.
A guy named Chris Heller on Instagram. Christopher J. Heller.
Okay.
It's not a cheap hat.
I know, I'm sure. There's a lot of like hat makers on Instagram. It's so funny what you can find nowadays.
Everyone's on Instagram.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, yeah. You can find babies on Amazon.
I don't want to hold them. I still don't want to hold them.
All right. So one thing I did like about your post today is the fact that you did name a lot of distributors. And me and Christina were talking earlier. The fact that salon services I did know, Bassett Salon Service Solutions, Evolve Salon Services, Beauty Scope, Spectrum, Central States, Professional Salon Concepts. I know that one. There's a lot of those I've never heard of before. So it was kind of cool to see, like, there's so much stuff that I think a lot of people don't know in the industry. Like, a lot of people just think that there's this and this, Pulp Riot and L'Oreal, and like, there's very few things.
And
but
nothing in between.
No, nothing. But there's so many different distributors that are out there. Art of Business is another one that I've talked to before. PSC is such a great distributor. Like, I think a lot of people just don't open their mind and look for other things. They just see what they see. So it was kind of cool seeing this post and everything.
And I think that Evolve is actually in your territory.
Is it really?
It's either Evolve or a Beauty Scope in your territory.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. Yeah. But yeah, it's really awesome.
I think they do Kevin Murphy for like 11 or something like that. And they have their head screwed on really tight too. I mean, they run a really tight ship out there. I've been out there many times, and they give back education a ton. And I think that has happened a lot as distributors rely on manufacturing to give education, where I think that there's a lot of distributors that are like, you know what, manufacturers aren't doing haircutting education. If they do, a lot of times the haircuts are crappy that nobody can use. So I think that a lot of distributors are starting to like look around at local education or even national education to deliver good education to their customer. And I applaud all of them. And if there's other distributors I didn't name, it's purely by mistake. It's not that I didn't want to. It's just that, those are the ones that I've done business with. And, I love those guys all personally. And they're really kind of putting their money where their mouth is,
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if haircutting comes back as a thing. Like it's really like 10 years ago, I was saying this at one of my last classes, like 10 years ago, it was all about like who had the most expensive haircut, what haircutting was all about. Like everyone wanted to do a precision cut. Now, no one even cares about a cut. Even our customers don't care about cuts. They just want balayage and color and, like in different things, which is fine. And the price tag is higher, but it's just funny. Like I'm excited for the day the haircut comes back, and companies don't even want it. If you're just a haircutter, it's hard to find a company to work for because haircutting doesn't sell anything. So it's very difficult, to get a company to jump on board with you.
Yeah. And, I feel like people would eat up the education. It's just that it doesn't sell anything, so they don't want to provide it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, people would love the class. They would love to learn a haircut.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it doesn't sell a lot of things, and that's the case. So, that's where hopefully things will change. And I'm trying to like prove that you can do a haircut and also sell a hairspray at the same time, or, a treatment or different things. That's what
or
being successful. Yeah. Or a scissor. Exactly. Yeah. We've proven that. So yeah. Anything that you want to promote, Ryan, while we have you on here? We're obviously going to have you back. I think you might be our hot topic guy. Not Hot Topic.
I would
Not
love
Hot
that. I
Topic,
would,
the mall
I
place.
actually love to have
He doesn't even know what that
a
is.
spot on your show. Be like, I want to be like the drunk uncle that like calls up and be like, "This is what I want to like bitch about today."
Yeah, we'll give you.
Ryan,
What's that?
I
am gonna
called
be
Ryan
Orlando
Teal's 2 cents segment.
Oh yeah, the Teal's. What was it?
Teal's 2 cents.
Teal's 2 cents of
I
on
named your segment.
industry situations. I'll create an intro. I'll have the company say something. Yeah, it'll be really fun.
You're not behind the chair in Nashville, are you? Anywhere? Somebody on the chat
No,
was
I'm not.
asking.
He's in Kentucky.
I'm sorry, Kentucky. I'm sorry.
I can't be
Nashville
behind
either.
the chair because, like, for instance, like in April, I was on the road so much in April that I was only home 5 days. I'm only going to be home like maybe 6 days in June. I mean, so I really can't take many clients. I do have a couple of clients in Nashville actually, but they're more of the celebrity type thing, and I hate to drop names, so I'm not going to. But,
well.
you know,
Sweet.
more that country and western type. Oh,
What country star are you working with?
I'm
very interested.
I'm at.
Hey.
I'll tell you personally. If you want to text me, I'll tell you personally. But I'm
Okay.
not allowed to on social
All right.
media.
That's okay. I like that. Can't disclose.
It's hot.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Ryan did text me. He goes, "This is the best barbecue place in Nashville," which I didn't make it to. But next time I'm out there, we'll go together.
Oh, well, you
Okay,
didn't let
I'll
us.
drive down in 22 hours.
You
we
weren't
were in
there.
We're in Georgia.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thanks.
sorry. Yeah, we were.
Wait.
Can I just say that I love that we have all of this technology, but we're having this fantastic interview with someone the size of a stick of gum on this camera in front of us.
I know. I need a bigger screen up there.
But my personality is bigger.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there you go. All right, Ryan. So how
I'm
can?
gonna be at Premier Orlando.
Okay.
I'm doing 2 classes at Premier Orlando with a. You know what's funny is there's a man by the name of Albie Mulcahy who was John Sahag's right-hand man. But before he was that, I saw him at a hair show with Paul Mitchell, like probably, back when the dinosaurs roamed. Am I still on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You're just
I just saw
hella
like. So before I ever became a hairdresser, I saw this guy Albie on the stage. I'm like, I want to be this guy because he was listening to like The Clash and telling jokes and hanging out with like pretty women backstage. I'm like, that's going to be my job. And I became a friend with Albie. And then this year, I've decided that I want to bring him out. He lives over in like the Tampa Bay area, and he's going to drive over, and me and him are going to do a class together. And to be honest, I'm scared shitless. He's a dry cutter where I'm doing a dry segment. I can cut dry hair, but not next to Albie. It's just like I don't want to cut with scissors standing next to DJ Muldoon,
Right.
So now I'm going to be cutting, dry next to Albie Mulcahy, and that's like standing next to John Sahag himself,
Who do you want to cut hair next to?
Me.
If you don't want to cut hair,
Trust me. You want to do it next to me, you're good.
if you don't want to cut hair next to DJ Wet, and then you don't want to cut hair next to Sahag Dry,
Yeah.
where are you at there?
I really just want to be on stage by myself because I can do this.
Awesome.
Don't compare you to anyone.
No distractions.
All right, so go see Ryan at the Orlando premiere show coming up in just a couple weeks. It's actually this weekend, isn't it, or something?
It's this weekend, and then I'm going to be at IBS Las Vegas, I hope.
Okay.
And I am in the southern states. I'm in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, Arkansas. And if anybody wants a free class from me, they can actually have a free class from me in those territories.
Okay, and that's how can they figure that out? Like go to your Instagram or your Facebook?
Yeah, go to Instagram. That's why.
Okay.
It's Ryan
Instagram.
_Teal.
Ryan
Teal.
_Teal. Cool.
Yeah.
Look at you guys.
Oh, I know.
All right, Ryan. Well, thanks for coming on, man. It was great talking to you. Well, obviously, we'll talk to you off air and also get you back on here soon for sure.
Cool. Love you guys.
All right, Ryan.
Thank you
Talk
so
to
much.
later, man.
Ryan.
All right, guys. So we actually only have 2 minutes left. I got to finish the show.
I love him so much.
So what do we want? Because that will run out
Yeah.
at 1:12.
Do you want me to just lean back and spin?
Well, we don't have anybody to spin for. Who should we spin for?
Me?
How was the chat, by the way?
Back hurts.
It was good.
It was good. Everybody
Yeah.
happy.
Look at Drea.
Yeah.
Just get up. Just do it.
Stand up,
Everyone's
Dre.
pretty
She's giving you the
happy.
evil eye.
I
You don't have a
think
camera
so.
on it. I look. Wait.
For the most part, they were engaged. They were listening. Everyone.
Okay, we have 1 minute. Who should we spin
Talk
for?
about going around your ass to get to your elbow. Preferably someone who only likes. I don't know. I was gonna make a distributor joke, but
50
I don't
seconds.
want. Oh shoot!
Now.
It's kind of hard.
On the wheel.
That's what she said.
Right now.
We have on the wheel. We have Free Salon Education, Mizutani Scissors, Donald Scott Carving Comb, Ergo Brushes,
Olaplex.
Minerva Beauty, Olaplex,
So much Minerva.
Sunlights, Balayage, and that is it.
Did you say Mizutani? Did you mean
Mizutani
it?
Scissor. I did. Who's it gonna be?
Drea, get ready.
Let's do. How about
Why did
Amy?
that stop?
Amy Coleman.
It's done.
Amy Coleman. How about that?
Amy Coleman.
Yeah. Let's.
Give it a spin. That is so loud. All right, Amy, what's it going to be? Spinning, round and round.
So is it still going? We just don't get to watch.
No, that thing records it. And it's a Ergo brush.
Oh, sweet. My favorite brushes.
Amy Coleman, you are one lucky gal.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I mean, we already got the explicit for this episode. Might as
Yeah.
well.
What?
I mean, we have to put an E next to this episode, so.
I said lucky.
I know, but I'm saying you can finish that sentence however you want now.
I said you're one lucky gal.
Never
What else-
mind.
What else would I say?
Do you want me to say? Never mind.
No, but no, you got to tell me later though, because I'm really confused.
I'll teach you how to talk dirty later.
Okay, thanks. All right. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us for this episode.
What are
We
you talking
appreciate
about?
it.
This was a joy for everyone involved.
This was a great one.
This
right?
was so good.
Yeah? Follow Brian Hare.
Please. Hairstyle on Instagram.
Oh my god.
It's hairstyle on Instagram. HAIRE style.
Yeah. Danielle?
The hands downs.
Danielle's been popping out some work on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying.
Are you getting some followers on there?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Drea, what's yours?
Hair by Dry Day.
Hair by Dry Day.
Matt, what's yours?
Free salon education.
Oh.
Yeah. You
Don't
guys
forget the hashtags
check it out.
contest.
You can be the love that.
Yes. If you want to be part of the...
Shitty
Oh.
choreography.
It's the music's on.
Almost had it.
Can't hear
Love
it.
that.
If you want to be part of our Love That segment next week, hashtag Free Salon Education on Instagram so we can see your work. We'll pick your picture. You can be a part of that. And also use the hashtag FSE Blowout if you want to win a blow dryer from MinervaBeauty.com, one of the best furniture companies, the best,
No, literally the best.
the best
It is the best.
furniture
Yeah.
company in the biz. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week right here on Splitting Hairs.
Splitting Hairs Free Salon Education.
Drops.